Hey y'all, I'm going to share 3 traps to avoid when starting your nonprofit. Let's get into it. Hey, it's Tiffany with Boss on a Budget. I help new and small nonprofits get up and running. So if you need help with your nonprofit, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And if you want to know the steps to starting a nonprofit, make sure you download my free nonprofit startup checklist. I have linked it below in the description box. So in today's video, I'm just going to share 3 traps to avoid when you are starting your nonprofit, because a lot of people don't talk about what it really means to start a nonprofit. I mean, people talk about, oh, you can get grants or you can get your 501c3 and be able to get money. But people don't really talk about the important steps it takes to make sure you're successful when you have a nonprofit. And I like to be real on this channel about what it really takes to be successful, so you know whether or not this is the right decision for you. Because sometimes having a nonprofit is not the right decision, and I want you to have the best information possible so you can make that decision for yourself. So if I was starting a nonprofit from scratch starting today, these are the 3 things that I would avoid to make sure you have a successful launch. The first thing I would say is make sure you don't lose sight of your mission. And of course, to not lose sight of your mission, you got to be clear on what your mission is from the beginning. So your mission statement is something that you should define pretty early on to describe what you do, who you serve, and why it matters. So I actually did a video on a formula very similar to what I just explained to help you come up with your mission statement. I'm linking that above. But it's really important to have a mission statement so you have a sense of your direction and you have a sense of your purpose for your organization. And your mission statement, I like to think about it as your standard. This is what you judge everything you decide to do against. So when you decide that you're going to make a big strategic decision for your organization, you should always line it up against your mission and say, is this going to help us meet our mission? Is this aligned with our mission? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be doing it. If the answer is maybe, then maybe that's a conversation for you and your board to have to decide whether or not your mission needs to be expanded. But regardless of the decision or the direction that you take, you want to make sure that whatever decision you make is based on whether or not it aligns with your mission. So one of the first things you need to do is get very clear for yourself who you want to serve and what you want to do in order to help them achieve some kind of impact or change their lives or change their circumstances or make some kind of impact. So you got to be clear on what that is. And then when people ask you what you do, what you're about, your mission is the first thing that comes to mind. Your mission is the thing that you say and repeat over and over again. And I really, really encourage you not to lose sight of that's why you're doing this. And the reason why you don't want to lose sight of that is because that's what's going to keep everything together. Your mission is your glue, because there are going to be times when you get discouraged, or there's going to be times when you're going to need to motivate the people around you, and it's the mission that you should go back to motivate you. It's the mission that you can use to dig deep within yourself, to remind yourself of why it's so important to do the things that you do, even when it gets hard, even when it's a discouraging journey. And your mission is what you should lead with when you're encouraging people to join you as board members, to join you as volunteers, and to join you in partnership as your donor or your funder. It's the mission that people use to figure out whether or not they want to align with your work, they want to join you and help you achieve what you set out to do. So it is the foundation of everything. So my suggestion to you is to be very clear and to stay focused on that mission. The second trap that I would avoid is not thinking about financial sustainability. And I would venture to say not thinking about money seriously. And sometimes people don't seriously talk about money or plan well for money because talking about money in a nonprofit scenario can be very uncomfortable for folks. And then there are some folks who genuinely think that as a nonprofit, you shouldn't be worried about money. Why do you have to talk about that? The concern should just be helping the people you want to help. But I push back on that, because if you want to have a nonprofit corporation, You want to get 501c3 status, particularly, I'm calling these names out for a reason. If you want to be a public charity, to actually be out there doing the work, it costs money to do work. It takes financial resources, it takes staff, it takes effort to be able to complete the work that you want to do in order to see impact. And to expect people who work for you, who often are from the community you're serving or very closely connected to the community you're serving, to expect those people to do things always for free or to do things at a very low pay is unfair and it's inequitable. So I push back on people saying you shouldn't talk about money, you shouldn't think about money. You absolutely should as a nonprofit, because that's how you're going to make sure that you're able to exist, to do the work that you're trying to do, and to make the impact that you're going to make. So I suggest you get comfortable talking about money as a board, get comfortable asking for money as the founder of the organization or as the founding board. Get comfortable talking about how much you need to be able to execute the work that you're trying to execute. Get comfortable with creating plans for yourself, like budgets and development plans or fundraising plans, and being very specific about how you're going to raise money and how much you actually need to be able to do good work. You avoiding these conversations will only make sure you don't have enough to do your work. You avoiding these conversations will only make sure that you'll only get by, right? You will never have what you need because you'll never be clear about what it takes to be effective. And the point of this is to be effective. I don't get on YouTube to help you with nonprofits so that you can have ineffective organizations. I'm giving you this free information so that you can survive, so that you can make it, because I know that there are a lot of you watching that do excellent work. And so for those of you who are doing excellent work, for those of you who can produce good outcomes and you're seeing the results every day, you need the money and the resources to back that up. So in order to ensure that you can stay around to keep seeing those good outcomes, you got to make sure that you're financially planning for your nonprofit, that you're thinking about other ways to make money, not just with grants, okay? That you're thinking about ways you can earn income, that you're thinking about ways that you can inspire people to give to you and build your donor base, to think about that holistically, to think about the staffing you need to be able to make that happen and to be able to accommodate people to do that for you, to have the staff able to help you raise money. To think about all of those different things is important when it comes to your financial sustainability, and it's something that you can't lose sight of. So don't fall into the trap of not thinking about money or not making clear financial plans for your nonprofit. And the last trap I want you to avoid is not building the capacity of the people around you. So in order to turn that around, I want you to focus on how you can pour into and motivate the people that you attract to your organization. Some of the first people you're going to attract are your board of directors. But they could also be your volunteers. It could also be advisory board members or other people who are working alongside you. As a nonprofit founder especially, your job is to motivate the people around you. See, when you are a startup, you do not have the financial resources to pay people. So most of the people who are around you are not getting paid for the work. They're not getting paid to help launch the organization. And as a board member, in most circumstances, it's not appropriate for them to ever get paid. So people have to be there for a different reason than money. And some people would say, well, there's no other reason. Like, nobody would do this for free. And I push back on that. There are lots of people that would do good work for free if they're motivated and inspired by the mission. If they feel like they're a part of a community, if they feel like they're building something important that will change the world. If they think that, then they will be committed and they will stay. But your job is to inspire them to stay, but also give them the skills to be able to execute, right? So it's important for them to be motivated and inspired, but they also need the capacity to function in their roles, especially when it comes to your board. So you don't want to recruit a board of people who are content with not learning how to really be a board, not how to function, not how to raise money for your organization. You don't want to recruit people who are not interested in building their own skill sets so they can help the organization succeed. And your job is to build that capacity in them to learn what their roles are, to learn that it's serious to be a board member, that they're responsible for the organization, to learn how to stand up in their roles and be ambassadors for the organization. It's really up to you as the founder. And it feels frustrating for some of you because you're like, I'm learning alongside my board. So why do I have to be the one? But as I always say, you decided to start this organization and it's your job to be the leader. And sometimes as the leader, you got to do the hard stuff. You got to do the stuff that no one else is willing to do. And part of that is making sure that your board, your team members, your volunteers are inspired by the mission, but also have what they need. They have the skills to do what they need to do to help your organization prosper. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that all you need is people. And then once you recruit well-connected people, or once you recruit enough people, that things will just fall into place. You also have to walk alongside of them. You also have to talk to them and build relationships with them and hear about what makes them tick and see what kind of value they want to bring and understand what their strengths are and how you can build on those strengths and identify ways they want to develop and grow and feed that in them. It's a whole thing to support people, and that's your job as a leader to do that. So don't lose sight of that. Thank you so much for watching this video. So after watching this video, what do you think? Are you prepared to do what it takes to run your nonprofit? Let me know in the comments. And also, if you need help with your nonprofit, you can always visit me at bossonabudget.com. You guys are awesome. Thank you for supporting Boss on a Budget, and I will see you in the next video.